Okay. First off,
So,
you folks, some of you are watching us on our Heroic Origins channels, and we have not done it for several months. I'll be honest with you, that's because my roommate died. I've been kind of dealing with some issues there. So, and I think when we kind of got back to talking about doing something, the Heroic Origins project wasn't front and center in our head. I think we wanted a little bit more creative freedom. And so Terrance and I have been talking about a new venture that we call
Lost Pinata.
Las Pinata. And so, Terrance, well, I think one thing we're trying to do is sort of figure out exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Terrance, what's your vision for this?
I mean, I just see it as our creative lifestyles and, what we can do. Like, as we're working on projects, as we build projects, the conversations that we have around the creative life, managing that creative life. I mean, in my full-time day-to-day job, I'm a video producer. I'm a studio manager. But privately, I like to write. I like to draw. I'm an aspiring musician, aspiring to learn how to play a music instrument one day. So, so there's whereas you separately are living, a whole different creative, have a whole different creative existence. So what do you do, Dave?
Well, I am a professional singer-songwriter who's not making much money right now off of that, but I have been paid to do the stuff in the past and pretty frequently. Not enough to live off of. I'm actually in between jobs right now. That's an issue because I damn well need a new computer. I'll tell you that for all this streaming. But I work in a lot of projects. Mostly music. That's been kind of the focus. I do cartooning, drawing. I do movie reviews. Let's see here. I do short films occasionally, or videos. Sometimes comedy. And I know I'm like, ooh, this guy's funny. But yeah. Anyway, a variety of things. I like to dabble in a lot of things, and one thing about this Lost Pinata thing is that I spent some time in Portland, Oregon, several years ago, and I was really inspired by the zine culture there. Now, zines were really, really big back in the late '80s, early '90s. They were kind of little, homemade, often comic books, but they could be. They were artistic booklets, and it would have art and poetry and writing and all sorts of things. What are your
cornucopia of creative endeavors?
Yeah.
So together. Yeah, zines are fun, but they're all just text based, or not text based, but they were tended to be, a little magazine where, and in the modern age, you've got little blogs that are like digital zines, and so those exist.
I don't know that blogs are really that big a thing right now either, but
no.
But we were thinking about doing some sort of
zines.
We were doing an online magazine. I guess that's what we want to do. We want to do.
Well, that's what we started out with during the pandemic. We came up with that concept, and then
we didn't really follow through with it at the time, but the thing about that is that it gives a lot of creative freedom. So we've got we can do anything. I mean, I got myself a brainstorm here of stuff that we could do. Comics, obviously, comics.
Yes, that's what we were doing with Heroic Origins.
Yeah, we could do. I was thinking memes. We could work on some memes. I like the idea of coming up with games or weird quizzes or goofy horoscopes or just strange horoscopes. I don't know. For me, just musically, I'd like to kind of touch on illustrated lyric books or lyrics, like adding illustrations to lyrics. But poetry, short stories, do some short videos. I might as well bring some music in. That's my stock and trade.
Yeah.
I was thinking like even some reviews, like movie reviews. I had this idea a couple years ago about doing Movie Cow and Movie Cat or something like that. And it was a cat, like cat was really pretentious cat and a guileless cow review movies.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, but the point is that it's do something more creative, a little not just. I mean, it could be text based, could be prose,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I like the idea of just like it may not be a straight up review. I like the idea of doing like a little cartoon
Yeah.
review
Well,
of a
I always
text.
wanted to do my like comic book movie reviews. I always thought that would be fun.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
I wanted to do really, really brief comic book movie reviews, and like just like which was basically just like the maybe 1 minute or less rant about. I
no.
just watched. By the way, I just watched The Flash last night.
Oh, how was it?
It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I don't like their Flash. It wasn't a bad movie, I guess,
Yeah,
but I really don't like the Ezra Miller Flash. I didn't like him in the Justice League either.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
as the character that they have created the
I,
Flash.
I didn't like his casting in that either, but not that I have a issue with Ezra Miller. I think he was great in his debut. What is it like? We Need to Talk About Kevin or something, where he plays the
I've never
serial killer.
seen that. I know Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I liked that movie a lot. I
Yeah,
liked him a lot in that.
yeah.
I know that there's a lot of stuff about him right now, and I don't know.
Uh,
I didn't
yeah,
really
I'm not
follow
even
it.
sure what the controversy is.
Yeah.
What it
Well, I
is.
think he punched some woman or something. Something he had assaulted some woman or something,
Okay,
and
that's
it was
bad.
on video. Some or
Yeah,
something to that effect. I don't really know, so I shouldn't really say that. Um, but I think that yeah, he's not well loved at the moment. So that film was troubled to start with, but yeah, I know I never liked his Flash. I never liked the
you know,
character of Flash they made there.
you know,
But
you
I
know what I
love
just
the
watched.
great rest of it.
You know what I
Mhm.
just watched?
But
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
oh god,
I,
I
I gathered from your response that you did not like that movie when you were a kid. Is that right?
it was such a cheesy movie. I mean, it was. I mean, that's what it was intent to be, but it was just really. It was like Spaceballs almost. It was so ridiculous and over the top,
Well,
as I recall it.
it was
I haven't
ridiculous and
seen it.
over the top, though.
Yeah,
I
I
think
haven't seen it in like 20 years. So.
it's a strange film. It is a strange film. I really like it actually, but it is a strange film. And you're right; it does have all like the cheesy '80s trappings to it. Like the music is, but
Why do I
why
feel like
is
Adam
there
Ant
weirdness? Huh?
was it Adam? Was Adam Ant in it, or did music for it, or something?
No, Paul
Did
Weller
he
was
just
in it,
look?
but Paul Weller
Did he
looked
just look
like
like Adam Ant?
Paul Weller. He actually, I was kind of totally diving into it, and he was talking about that. One of the inspirations for the character in his mind was Adam Ant,
Okay.
and then there was somebody else, but I can't remember who that was off the top of my head. But yeah, he's definitely got the Adam Ant cheekbones.
Yeah, no, that's what I. That's what I was like when you said the music. I was like, was it? Was he in it?
No, actually, Adam Ant is much better musician than whatever they had in this film. I wish they had gotten Adam Ant to do the music for it. And actually, it was interesting. It was interesting because it's like he's this total jack of all trades. He's like a neuroscientist, a particle physicist. He's or a neurophysician. Sorry, a
Mhm.
particle physicist, and he's also a rock star and an adventurer.
Yeah.
And he has like, and all of his rock star buddies are also scientists and things, or they have special skills. But but no, it's weird. It is
I
a weird film because it's not. You think of it. They were talking about it being maybe ahead of its time because it's ostensibly like about a comic book character, or he literally has a comic book about his adventures
Uh-huh.
in the movies. In the movie, that's like
In the movies,
in the
I know.
movie.
I
he's-
remember thinking it was a lot like Howard the Duck back in the
Okay.
day.
I can
I don't
see
know.
that.
I feel like were there similar villains to in like the.
What
I
was
don't
the
know.
villain of Howard the Duck?
It was the guy that was. I don't know. See, now the more I think about it, it's like I don't know why, but I conflate the two of those movies together for some
Okay.
reason.
I can. I mean,
Um,
I think Howard the Duck was not as good, but this one was. But I mean, I'll admit, part of the thing that I like about Buckaroo Banzai is just how weird it is, because it doesn't.
I'd watch it. I mean,
I don't know that it really makes sense.
I'd watch it again just because it is out there, and it is. I know it's out there. You know, like out there, like just being weird.
It was
out
not a successful film when it came out.
No,
By the way,
I
it was.
wouldn't. I don't. I remember it being like a big, not successful film, and just being like, "What the."
I, well, reading back on how bad of a flop it was, and it was actually a really good year for film. It came out in 1984,
Mhm.
but it was it had a lot of big names or future big names in it because it
Mhm.
had Peter Weller. It had who did not go. He did RoboCop, but he didn't
Yeah.
really turn out to be big beyond that. But then you had Ellen Barkin was in it. Uh,
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, one of an early role of Jeff Goldblum's.
Mhm.
Uh, had um, oh, the guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
John
John
Lithgow.
Lithgow. John Lithgow is the main villain in that. Oh, and Christopher Lloyd is in it,
Uh,
and he's an alien. It's the same year. Interesting. He played an alien in this one the same year that he plays an alien in Star Trek: The Search for Spock, where
okay.
he was a Klingon in that one.
Huh.
Um, anyway, no, it's
Yeah.
there's also what's his name? The guy that did was it the Kraken in Highlander? The Kurgan?
I would not even remember what that was.
Okay, anyway, that guy.
Highlander.
He's well known in geekdom, but he was in that film. Anyway, that it was actually I don't know
I really.
I don't know. It had a lot of big stars, and it's just really it's a weird film because what happens is Buckaroo Banzai he has this rocket car and he's trying to break the sound barrier, but what he does is he actually goes through uh, the empty space through matter through this mountain, and he ends up and that turns out it's an interdimensional prison for aliens.
Ah,
And
okay.
he gets the Earth caught up in a civil war between these aliens, and I don't know. I thought it was a
That is interesting.
weird.
like as a, that, it was interesting as that got made.
Oh yeah. I was reading the making of a little bit, and it was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, they kind of sold it to the studios, and the studios thought they were going to have more control over it, and somehow they didn't. And then they managed to get all the weird stuff in there. Um, but it's like I just think about comic book movies today, and comic book movies today aren't this weird. I actually would love to see a remake of Buckaroo Banzai because what it does is it kind of goes back to like early half of the 20th century kind of pulp stuff, like
Hmm.
Doc
Oh, like the
Savage, is that his name?
maybe yeah, like the adventurers who would go
Yeah, those old adventurers back there. They'd have a posse of people that would be with them, and they would do
like the
stuff.
Fantastic Four.
Well, but not even no, not even the. I mean, even before the
Well, but that's
Fantastic.
what they. I always thought that was their kind of origin was still in that vein of things.
Well, except everybody here is human, right? They don't have powers,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
but they're all super talented people. They're like they
Well, you get the cast. You had Yakov Smirnov in there.
well, and mind you, he does not play Yakov Smirnoff in the film. He is just he has a very small part. In fact, considering
Oh,
how weird the movie is, he's not weird at all. He's completely straight,
I
and
don't know
he
who.
shows up very very briefly. One of my favorite, though he's there during one of my favorite gags, which is the president who's busy getting some sort of like chiropractic treatment throughout the film.
Hmm.
Um, the president pulls out has the Secretary of State bring a little envelope, and he pulls out some papers because there's a possibility that there's tensions between them and Russia at the time, of
Hmm.
course, or the Soviet Union,
Oh, well, yeah, that was the '80s, right?
which is the 80s. Yeah, sure. And so he pulls out from the envelope this thing that's called Declaration of War, the short form for emergencies only. And that's a gag that I remember from the the time. But this is the thing: the movie is not. It's a very dry comedy. It does not. Nobody's playing it for laughs. That's except for possibly John Lithgow, but I don't even think he is. I think everybody's playing it straight. They're playing it straight, and I really appreciate that. Anyway, it's a weird film. It's got all this stuff. It goes back to War of the Worlds. They sort of like say, what if War of the Worlds really happened and the radio thing was just a cover story? And anyway, I don't know. It's a weird movie. It's a weird movie. I enjoy it. I don't think they make movies like this at all right now. I don't think it was if it was ahead of its time, it's still ahead of its time. But I think it's really just kind of a unique film.
Are you talking about Clancy Brown?
Yes.
The Kurgan?
Yes, the Kurgan, yes.
Okay. I totally don't remember him in Highlander.
Well, he does a lot of comic book things. He does like a lot of voice.
Like I was looking at the cast just to see who I would think, who is the person? Also has the guy who is the Mantis.
Who?
The Mantis TV series, what's his name? I gotta go back. Carl Lumbly.
Oh yeah. He had a significant. He was. I knew I recognized him, but I don't think I've seen the Mantis show. But he looked really familiar, and I was just like, oh, what have I seen him from? But he has he's an alien disguised as a human.
Yeah, the last I saw, he was on Supergirl, I think.
Oh, interesting.
And he was as the father of John Johns of Martian Manhunter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like he pops up in like things. It's like, oh hey, he's still around.
He's still playing aliens. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to say this. I think the script for Buckaroo Banzai is top notch. I like a lot of I like the casting for it. I think the acting and the performances are top notch. I will admit, I do think that the music not great. It's very dated. It's very dated. But even
in my opinion, in my opinion, the vast majority of all music in the 80s was not great. Was better.
I know, but it's like, at least it could be catchy. I'll say this. I think I do actually. I found the outro music to be pretty catchy. But there's a scene though at the very beginning or near the beginning where the band goes on stage. Hello.
When I get off at some point, probably another half hour at least.
Right. I can just watch that long. I don't know. They just watch the whole thing.
So there's a point at the beginning or near the beginning of the film where the band goes. By the way, the band's name is the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
What?
Which is
Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong Cavaliers?
Well, it doesn't really make sense because Buckaroo Banzai, by the way, Peter Weller is playing. This would not fly today. Peter Weller is playing a half Japanese man, like his mom's Japanese and his father is.
So they could call the group Buckaroo Banzai and use the word Banzai. Like they're like, yeah, because he's half Japanese. Is that what the whole concept?
I guess, and then he's got the Hong Kong Cavaliers, which of course is. Might have been a little bit of just not differentiating between Asian countries is my guess, but yeah. Whatever the case, the point is that this was the hodgepodge. They wanted it to be kind of this hodgepodge of influences. Mm-hmm. Okay, but anyway, I need to get back to the key thing that I was trying to say, which was they get on stage and they're doing music and it's like, wow, it's really bad. It's just really, really bad. And even and I'm curious if they were playing that up because Peter Weller at one point he singles out Ellen Barkin in the audience and it's like somebody's not having a good time. This is a fun scene. He's like, is somebody not enjoying themselves? And he stops the whole concert to talk to her and she's like suicidal or whatever. And he sings a song for her. And I
vaguely remember that. Actually,
Peter Weller has a nice speaking voice, but he's not a great singer. So I was wondering if they were trying to play up that aspect. but it was, I don't know, it was a fun, weird movie. I just don't. I think the music is so-so. I think the direction is actually so-so. I think the art direction's not bad. Um, but it could have been a much better movie. That's why I'd love to see it, a remake of it, because I think the basic script. I love this completely chaotic hodgepodge of source material or influences coming into it. I think it's really cool.
Sorry, I'm going through Carl Lumbly now. Yeah.
Well, should we talk more about Lost Pinata? I want Lost Pinata to be the
Yeah,
Buckaroo
like
Banzai
what is it?
of online
That's
magazine.
not a bad goal. Yeah.
Online zine.
Yeah. We could do worse.
We could come up with conspiracy. Actually, that's something they have conspiracy theories. What if we made up a conspiracy theory? That could be one of the side projects. Is coming up with a. It's like, hey, this is the Lost Pinata conspiracy theory. Spread it far and wide.
Well, here's my question: Did you want to do projects specifically? Because I was thinking of more that Lost Pinata would be us working on our projects, not necessarily projects wholly just for the Lost Pinata. Because like we both have a lot of other projects. That's where my thought was.
Oh well, I just
It
sort
would
of
be
figured
kind
it's a
of it would be a
hodgepodge.
great place.
I guess I was thinking of it primarily as working on. Well, I think I told you before that my bigger interest is actually the magazine, I guess, or the anthology, or whatever we want to call it. The podcast to me is more of a behind the scenes kind of thing. Though maybe that's not the way to do it. Maybe it should be focused just on general creativity. But if that's the case, then I'm going to be pulling out my guitar a lot.
And that's fine. Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Is like we can work on things. We can work on things together, but we can work on things independently and use this time, productively every week. And that's where I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
we meet every week, and it's like, oh, we meet every week, and we could draw this week. I mean, I guess we can't really do music together. Like that's something.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of.
But if you were working, like, say you were working out a song, and like, I mean, it's just somebody like you could bounce things off of if you want,
Well, let's just take a look at that here, because I've got. Maybe we should have a show and tell element to what we do.
Okay.
Because here, let me let's see. Can I share my? Let me see if I can share this. Let's share screen. What am I sharing? Window. Okay. I'm going to play for you this podcast theme that I came up with for my friend Matt.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this is going to come through. Let's hope that you get some sound. Oh, whoops! Sorry. That was the short. That was the stinger. That was the short stinger version. Here's the full thing. All right.
What's
this is a writing podcast. He actually.
Okay. I was gonna say it sounds like a typewriter.
It was, yeah. I actually got. God, I hope I didn't have anything embarrassing in there. Let's see. There was yeah. I borrowed two vintage typewriters from an acquaintance of mine. Somebody in the songwriting community, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put on Facebook, is like, does anybody have a couple typewriters? And one of my Facebook friends, who I don't know very well, I actually really hadn't I've gotten to know her a lot better
Mhm.
since. But borrowed a couple typewriters, and the idea was to use it as percussion. But I also I took a whole bunch of samples of it in doing different things, and yeah. Anyway, I'm going to do some variations
Thank you.
on that because he wants something that's more of a spy theme as well. He's got different genres of stuff that he works on, not spy theme, but I don't know how to describe it. He's got like a long form story that he's working on that's about kind of a fixer at a casino in Europe,
Okay.
an American fixer in Europe working at a casino. Anyway, so you need something a little bit more in that vein. Mine's kind of more generic for any type of story.
Hmm.
So anyway, so that's something I've worked on recently. You got anything you want to show off?
I mean, nothing at the moment. Like, really, I've got to start working. I've got to figure out a plot. I want to do this kids book before Halloween,
Oh,
and
okay.
as part of that, I need to do like 17 illustrations for it. I think
Okay.
it's like I've written this story so many times, and then I came up with the way that it should be written, and I never wrote it. It was like kind of like when you're trying to solve a problem, solve a problem, solve a problem, you keep going, and then you figure out the solution. You're like, that's it, and then I just didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like I'm like I finally need to get that done because that would be fun and that would be fairly in my head it would be fairly easy. It's like a Scooby Doo story. I'm sure I've mentioned it to you before. But I
But
want
you
to draw a
haven't
bunch of
mentioned it to the audience, Terrence.
huh?
You haven't
Oh
mentioned
well,
it to the audience.
it's about um I guess it's like Scooby Doo, I guess you could say, but it's two girls who have superpowers, and playing the part of Scooby Doo is a alien baby, and,
Okay.
and
I
they're
like it.
and they travel about in their flying saucer solving mysteries about
In a
other
flying
like
saucer. Okay.
of solving mysteries about super with that involve supernatural beings. And so I guess it's not really like Scooby Doo, but that's how I think of it. It's like if I was to make Scooby Doo, this is what it would be.
Well, no, I mean that makes sense. It's kind of a
It's definitely
that's the style of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, my problem was I kept writing it from the beginning, right? Like I kept writing it and reorganizing it and cramming all the information in it which is really dense if you get into the whole backstory of how these two girls got together with the alien baby in the spaceship solving. So it was like, and it's like ultimately I realized that like you know what they did for Scooby Doo? They just said these kids are in a van with a dog and they solve mysteries.
Well, yeah, it's really I'm curious. Actually, that would be interesting to know exactly what was the thought process there.
I mean, but that's been like the movies since have like explained more of that, and some of the shows later on. But it's like I don't need to go from the beginning of how they meet, and you need to meet. Like all of that stuff will come out later. And I mean, I must have written it like 6 times, and actually, I wrote a different story because now I'm like changing. I'll at the
Yeah.
end of like this little story, they'll have a third member to their group. I think. I don't know, and they'll have like enemies, and they'll have those who don't want them to do what they do,
Well,
but like
what?
but they've got like a supporting cast. Like my big thing when I first wrote it was like all the kids stories. It always seems like these kids and they have no parents or their parents are dead, like Harry Potter. Like that's a trope. Just
Thank goodness,
children,
right? Because
children,
who wants parents around? Parents are like evil.
but
Like
that's
if I was
always
a kid, I'd just be
the
like,
case.
where can I
Yeah.
go where I wouldn't have any parents?
But I mean, and I guess that's part of like your child, like, fantasy, though. No, it was really that you could do whatever you want. You don't have parents telling you what to do. But I was
Yeah.
like, I always wanted to write a story for kids like that had parents. But ultimately, like, yeah, the parents will exist, but they're not going to be in the story because that's not really what it's about. It's like losing all of these
Well,
backstory things in my story for me.
why not? You see, you say Scooby Doo, but why not a Johnny Quest kind of thing, or a Venturers Brothers type of thing, where you have like the parents are there. I mean
Yeah.
they're actually pretty prominent too.
All morning long I was watching a Giant Quest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's on Tubi. And I was like, oh,
I
I
just
haven't
I
seen this
just
in
got on
forever.
to that's actually where I watched Buckaroo Banzai, and I was like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't mind. That's how Hulu was originally, right?
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
commercials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Lots of,
why
yeah.
did I mean, I'm upset that Hulu now charges, but they still have commercials.
Yeah. It's like Hulu isn't worth it for I was like, I canceled that. Like I was like, why do we have this? So
But it makes perfect sense to me that you do something like Tubi where you just have ads.
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like old school TV.
It's the same. Do you watch Pluto TV? Because that's just
Pluto TV? No, I haven't heard
yeah,
that.
it's the same, and but it's just you it's all just streaming they've got like a classic Doctor Who channel. I watch that
Nope.
from time to time, and like some Star Trek channels, I think,
Well,
where
I'm
it's just
trying
the
to.
shows keep going, so you don't have any. It's like really like old school TV, but it's just streaming one
I'm
program.
trying to avoid television. I mean, after watching all the Marvel stuff,
Hmm.
I mean, because television is just like evil. I mean, because it's not evil. It's good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff out there right now. It's
Hmm.
just that the investment is so high,
Yeah,
because it's gotten even more so as time has gone on. Because
yeah,
they have these long story arcs that it used to be that you could watch an episode. It would be basically the same every week, but it would
mhm,
with slight variations. But you would never be lost if
right.
you skipped it.
But
These days, you watch a TV show, you have to be super invested, and I think that's great. I mean, I think it's cool. It's better art, because of it. But
sometimes,
well, not always. But I think that um, I feel like I need more time to do stuff, and so like doing a self-contained, just watching a movie.
hmm
I wish movies were a little. I mean, I'm a big movie guy, and I've been getting more back into movies. But yeah, I like that self-contained nature of a movie. Though,
yeah,
of course, you have series films as well, like
right.
the Marvel films.
Yeah.
But they don't demand that you binge watch them.
Yeah, no, I've recently I don't know, I feel like I ran out of things to watch. I say that, but then like they just came out with the Ahsoka series, and so I'm enjoying that. Like,
Oh, you are okay. How
yeah,
many episodes have there been?
they released 2 episodes last week, and I've watched like one and a half. But I don't, I've actually planned on like limiting myself just to things that I really want to watch. Like I really wanted to watch the Flash movie, but like I wasn't gonna pay for it. So, I was really waiting for it to come on streaming, and so then I watched it.
How did you like?
The Into the
How did you
Spider Verse.
like Rosario Dawson?
She's okay. She wouldn't have been my pick, honestly.
I know
But
you've said that
yeah,
vehemently.
but 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 she's okay. Like that's the thing. It's like I'm watching it and like all the characters, because all the characters, so far there's several characters that were in Rebels. They were all animated before. See,
Uh-huh.
so you have like your kind of idea of them, and you've seen them, and
Yeah, yeah.
and so it's like now this is a person acting that part, and it's like, do they fit it? And Rosario Dawson isn't terrible as Ahsoka. I know she was fan cast by most people, so that was, but I don't know, I still like the idea of unknown people who really match the part more so than established actors and actresses, which I don't know if either of the like Hera or Sabine were people that were previously like in things. I don't recognize them from anything, and they're growing
Well,
on me.
they've got
I don't like that Hera has no markings on her little head tail things, but it seems
they've
weird.
got another famous actress in that show. Let's see.
But so far, so good. I'll say that. Oh, the main villain guy so far, the main villain guy, he's been in stuff.
What is he? Vinnie Jones? There's Ray Stevenson. I'm sorry,
I think that, yeah.
but
Yeah.
oh, I don't see her. I thought there was Clancy Brown's in it.
I don't, and like, yeah, David. Oh, that's who David Tennant is. I was wondering. I saw his name in the listing. Yeah, he plays a droid.
Oh, I thought they had somebody else in the movie. Let's see. Anything.
Yeah, I could say like I'm looking at the cast right now. I don't know any of these people. I've seen the name Mary Elizabeth Winstead before.
Well, that's the thing. That's who I'm looking for. I thought she was in it, but I don't see her name on
Oh,
the.
she is. She is. Yeah, she's Hera.
Oh, she is. Okay. Yeah. Anyway,
You know, but it's like, yeah, for the most part, like I am out
I'm
of
always
touch
happy
with
to
like
see her in a film.
younger and most actresses these days. Hello again.
Hello.
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 What are you doing?
Is there any band called the Taste Buds?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is that what you want to name your band?
No.
You can call, if there is a band called the Taste Buds, then you can call yourselves the Taste Buddies.
It's an entire ripoff. That would be a ripoff.
No, it'd be.
It's an original, you know.
become more
By
famous.
the way,
Nobody will ever remember.
I just wanted to say something weird about the Taste Buds. So they're savory, sweet, sour, bitter, and I forgot the last one's name.
Oh, you're looking for all the different. Let's see.
Sour, bitter,
Taste bud types.
salty.
No, the thing that like meat taste is like, and tomatoes, meat. And
Okay, there are
That's
four types of taste buds. The papillate or papillate is what they're called. The
Okay, you know what? Let me just tell you something, okay?
foliate,
Please.
valate.
Let me see something.
What are you doing?
But they cover sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami. What the heck is umami?
Umami. That's like the.
Oh yeah, umami. That was what it was.
Oh,
Umami.
yeah. Umami's like your.
The
food
weirdest
field.
thing about
What?
Isn't it like the feel of food?
Oh, okay. Because I've seen there's like a restaurant called Umami, right?
Yeah. It's like.
I didn't realize. What?
What do you need to say, babe? We're having a conversation actually when you walked in here. Don't shush me.
Who's the parent here?
Let me.
Say your word. Say your piece.
The weirdest thing about Sweet is she uses lollipops for drumsticks. Like she has just really long lollipops that she uses for the drums.
We can do that.
Oh sure, and let them stick to the drums for 5 years.
Well, that wouldn't be good. All right. Hey, let me finish talking. All right. Did you finish eating? Did you finish eating?
I don't know.
Go. Come on. There's a hug. Oh.
You're hurting my rib. Trying to destroy my rib.
All right. Interlude. All right. We're talking about
Forget it, Jake. It's Hug Town.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Ahsoka. It's been good. I gotta say though, like it's moving slowly, but that's okay for me. To me personally, like that's fine. I just wish that Disney stopped trying to do the, I guess like event watching. Like we're gonna release it this day, like once a week, and it'll be the thing that people tune into on this day, at this time. Because like. It's like just do all of them like Netflix would do. Like do them all at once. Let me binge it. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, you could wait until they're all out.
I could, but I'm not going to. But but it's like
they're succeeding at what they're trying to do.
Well, no, they released it like Tuesday or Wednesday. Like I think they released it Wednesday, but it didn't come on until 9:00. I was like, seriously, it should have been midnight. I should have been able to watch it, because Because then I didn't start watching it until the day after that, because I didn't want to start watching it at 9 o'clock.
Well, I wonder
Because it
what
was
the
too hard.
strategies are for that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, like Game of Thrones was really successful because it came out every week, and everybody watched it all at the same time, so it became national conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal when they do that kind of stuff.
Oh, sure. Well, that's old school thinking, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
because
but it still works, if you've got a
it
buzzworthy
keeps it
enough show.
on in the media longer. So
Yeah. So I mean, like Game of Thrones definitely did it, but I don't think you're.
But that wasn't the same thing because it wasn't produced by a streaming service.
But it was. I mean, it was on H. Well, I think of HBO as a streaming because I didn't have
it is now.
I didn't have cable, and so I was watching Game of Thrones via HBO Max at the time. So I think of that being very much the same because I mean, it was part of a streaming service. So
yeah, well,
but yeah, you're right. You're right. They did still have like terrestrial like cable lines and all that. So does HBO still exist? Do people still have that?
Well, I think their streaming service is called Max.
Well, it's now Max now, but is like, do you still like if you had cable, would you still be able to get HBO?
Yep.
Okay, interesting. Huh. So, yeah.
Well,
Max
back to our
streaming anyway. Like
our online magazine. So,
all right. So where are we? I was starting to write what we were talking about.
Well, because I mean, okay, so we're chatting a lot here today, and not doing much work.
That's fine.
And I think that's what I was before we got on here. That's what I was saying. Is that my concern is that I'm not sure that I'm as good a multitasker as you. The previous podcasts we did were very interactive, except for the live draws, which were kind of breaks. They were kind of breaks from that, but we still had a little bit of a focus on stuff that we'd previously discussed. Specifically, there was a thread. This is going to be more of a more freeform.
Yes.
And I guess why don't we try it? Why don't we just go with it? I mean, you were talking about having guests on and doing interviews.
Yeah.
And I can see that. I don't know if I want to do that right away, though.
No, not right away. Oh, whoops! I didn't mean to do that.
Good job, Terrance. You want to do? Well, I don't want to fiddle with it while you're doing it. But,
what was that?
Well, where's mine?
Hands free.
Well, we want to have all four of ours up at once.
Oh no, I wasn't putting it up yet. I was gonna, because we weren't really talking about things to do, so I was just letting you see what I was doing because there's nothing there.
What do you mean?
Well, a checklist of things that we're gonna do for our podcasty thing, whatever we're calling it.
Oh,
is it a podcast?
Okay. Well,
I imagine. Okay, so here's the thing.
It's a live stream?
I figured we could do the live stream. And this is where I was like, okay, so if we did like interviews and talk to people, that's a real easy thing to take that chunk out. And we could put that on, we could make reels on Instagram. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We could make, TikTok videos. We could make like actual audio podcasts
from memes. I was thinking about, I mean, I know a million people are doing it, but like the Trump mugshot. Yeah. Actually, did you see the Trump mugshot where they took all the mugshots and they turned them into Batman villains?
No.
They got Trump as the Joker and Mayor Giuliani as the Penguin. It actually looks really cool. I don't know the names of all the other folks, and I don't know that. And but there's obviously Clayface in there and Catwoman twice, and anyway, it's interesting. But I was thinking memes could be fun to do, and that would actually be pretty easy to do.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff we can do. My thing is I'm a little bit skeptical about actually getting something done.
Yeah.
It's because it's not going to be as collaborative. I mean, we got stuff done, previously, but it was a production. We were working on the same thing. And in fact, it was built around brainstorming. That was built around the interaction.
So like right now we should be, if we were more targeted in everything, we would be we would be saying, okay, right now we need to brainstorm, and we would be working on our actual agenda of what we needed to work on.
Well, and my concern is
We're
the
just
visual element of it. I mean, it doesn't seem that visually interesting that we're talking at each other, but it is. We're actually engaging with each other. We're talking. We're actually visually kind of interesting. But if we're
Josie, I'm trying to talk.
hello,
You come back after I'm done. I'll be done in a little bit. Why do you keep coming back in here?
I just wanted to say something.
Okay, what is it?
I want to sing you a song.
Josie, come on. I'm trying to have a conversation.
Like 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Well, don't count.
5?
No! Okay, shut, or else I will. No. Just let me, okay?
Okay.
I'm a sticky mushroom. I'm a sticky mushroom. I'm a sticky mushroom.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the song. Bye.
So that'll be a regular occurrence
Yeah.
in whatever podcast streaming
Yeah.
thing we do. But you're saying that there are plenty of live streams out there where people are just sitting around writing or drawing or whatever, and we can occasionally talk. And if we have chats, and I'm not looking at the chat right now. Nobody's responding, even though I don't know that one person is really watching us. I don't know.
That might be me.
Okay. So why don't we just give it a go? We'll give it a go, and see how it works. But I know that this is pretty much the 2 hours that I've got allotted for this project.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that's where I'm like, I just wanted today. Okay, so right now we're in the planning stages, right? So the interesting thing is what are we planning and how are we planning it? And in that discussion in and of itself, I think is creatively interesting, logistically interesting.
I forgot about fake news stories. I was doing comedy.
You want to make fake news stories?
Well, like Onion type pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing. I actually had a friend who had done a satirical newspaper, and that's the better way to put it, is satirical news, or parody news. Really, that was more parody news. But I actually had a fun time doing that. I just didn't have much time to devote to it. I don't know. I like doing comedy from time to time. So that's another thing. I don't know. There's a lot of different things. I like that. So I don't know. What are we doing next week? What? You gonna do a live stream next week?
Yeah. Yes. Live stream. See, this is my thought. Live stream every week and figure out what the hell we're doing. And that's the show.
What's our commitment to actually producing content, though? I mean, are we? Is this a? So I mean, is it?
We just did. We just created some content. We just created some video content, and then we're working on what other content we're going to create.
Here's the question: are we actually trying to get audience, or what's the deal? Is this something that we actually want to try to promote, or is this just something?
Yeah? Why not? Why not? As it evolves, it'll just continue. I want to create an opening. I want to create, I want to do graphics. I want to create openings. I want to create, breaks. I want to create, email stuff.
See, I think that's the biggest disconnect is I can't see this as being the primary content. I have a hard time seeing this as the primary content because it's just because it's too unstructured for me. I think that's. I mean, when we were doing the hero stuff, the heroic origins, we actually had it was a clear structure. It wasn't, it was a show. It was a show, and it had like a beginning, middle, and end. It had sections, and that was true for both the character brainstorm and for the plot brainstorm. Mm-hmm. I mean, the live draw was a little bit more open-ended, but we knew that it was going to be following up the other stuff. But that built into like a larger structure of a monthly turnout, right? Because that was kind of the downtime from the other two.
So,
what are you doing?
I was just thinking of what I saw as segments segmentally how I would structure this show. Because yeah, you're right. It's right now there's zero form. It's just this amorphous blob, right? That's just like, hey, let's get on chat. But no, I see the potential for an actual program. I see, like I said, I see the potential for like interviews and like we approach every day with a topic.
Well, this is the other thing is,
You know,
I kind of feel like because you want to do an interview and then send the people on. And I know that, like, I look at other, like my friend Troy, he does his podcast and people just sort of hang out throughout the whole thing.
And that would work too.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's, I feel like.
I was saying, yeah, they don't.
I don't want to like make people have to go away.
No, we don't. Like, I mean, yeah, we're not like, all right, we're done with you. No, it's just a matter of we can work on things collaboratively and we can work on things independently, but we will work on things at the same time.
Yeah, and I like the idea of that. I like the idea of having, if we had guests on, that they're also drawing stuff or they're also working on a project, and it becomes almost like just like kind of work time, creative work time.
Yeah,
because
that's what I was saying. It's like accountability. It's like just this weekly accountability. It's like, yes, we're creative and accountable every week to do something to work on it.
Here. Let's see. Can I turn myself off and just have?
I can't hear you now. I think your sound is connected to the camera that you're on.
Yeah. Because I was wondering if there was a way for me to.
Wasn't that
turn my picture off so that we could just see what's being worked on, and then because if we had another person here, it would get really cluttered real quick. Because we got if you're working on something and I'm working on something, that's 4 screens up already.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
We do but we could do something like can you do something like this? And we could cycle through.
In and out.
Yeah. Like just keep switching between what the main because you've got 4 people. I mean, this has potential for 2 more screens on it.
That's true.
And then or that one, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could just as we're going along,
that's true.
Put the other one up. So
that's true. That's true.
What is that?
Okay. That makes me feel because I kind of feel like if we have a guest, I kind of want them to be on for the whole show.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, have that offer to be.
Well, like I said, when I started thinking about guests, it was just like, wow, that's a really much wider guest potential, I think. And you really wanted guests before,
well, that's true. I did, but that was
now you're not. So guests are like.
I understood the product better then.
Yeah, so
and I don't understand this
product way down the line. Maybe
I have a hard time seeing this as a product. I see this really as a behind-the-scenes casual hangout.
Well, then okay, think of it that way. But it's a behind-the-scenes hangout that will grow into a structure. Let's say that.
But I guess the thing for me is I really want to. I don't know. Is there a focus? Is there a focus on this magazine, or is it just? I mean, because you're talking about working on other projects.
Well, I think of the things that I'm doing would go into the magazine, but I'm not thinking of and I think that we collaborating on something would go into it. But it's I really was looking forward to working on like I said, I aggressively want to approach this at least a couple different stories before the end of October. And so
I'm trying to think here, okay, here's let me see about this. Okay, I'm going to close this. I'm going to turn this off. How do I turn this off? Because a lot of the stuff that I do is music editing.
Right.
And I don't know how that would fly in this. Let me pull up GarageBand. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm not going to be if I've got GarageBand up, I mean, will I even be able to have it up at the same time without?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
So okay, there it is. Let me try sharing this.
Kill this light.
Okay, because I don't have two screens here that I'm looking at. So I mean, if I was working on this,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, would this even be interesting?
Yeah.
I mean,
If
can you
I
hear
don't know
them?
how to do that, yes, that's absolutely interesting. I don't know. I don't use GarageBand, so yeah.
Because there's stuff that I need to work on that, you know. So I'm like thinking, is that the kind of thing that we would be doing?
Yeah. And then it's like, and something like this, say, like at the same time that you were doing that, like even if you didn't want to have that screen,
Is this you know? Let me hold. I can't even really see what's going on here. So okay,
that's right. You've got single screen, whereas I've got dual screen, so at least I can.
yeah, I don't. I have to flip back and forth. So, um, well, you know, this is the thing. If I got a new computer, then I'd be able to use my tablet as a second screen. But
Yeah.
this computer is too old for that. So yeah. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I mean, that's a possibility because that's like the other thing is I'm going to be editing video. Geez, I mean, how much is that going to kill my computer? That's the question. Um, so it's like I'm worried about doing it. Like, okay, like let me pull up iMovie, which is my editing suite of choice because it's free. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see here. Because I mean, that would be because I've got these interviews that I've been doing, these kind of short interview things, and you know, I could totally let me share. And let's see. And I have to make sure that I don't have anything questionable that comes up on the screen. Right?
What kind of movies are you editing?
Oh yeah, if I'm working on a porn film, am I allowed to? Oh
Just
hey,
let me know so I lock.
hey, it's collaborating time. Cool. I like it even if you don't. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So I mean, I could be working on stuff here. Like, let's see. What do we got here? This is where it's like I don't even know what's in here. I don't know what I'm looking at. Where do they find these photos? To be honest with you, so it's like right there. It's like, do I have anything that I'm embarrassed about? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, there we go. You see? Look at that. Send me home in a straitjacket, please. Okay. So I mean, I could conceivably work on that kind of stuff. Yeah, because that's the stuff that I would really need to work on. I'm trying to think because
Wait, so I'm just thinking,
I'm going to
like,
be doing. I'm going to restart my podcast. Oh, hey, we've got a. Oh, good. Send me that because the. Or do you have it
oh,
saved?
this is. I was just playing with coloring it. That's what I figured I could work. I'm trying to actually. I was watching a thing, and see, this is like a conversation. Like, I've been trying to figure out how to use my masks better.
Uh-huh.
So, like, that's all I've been playing. And I don't know. I was trying to do Wes Anderson type color.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know that it lends itself to that, but that was the idea. I can send this to you though.
Well, just because it's a color one will look a lot better on.
Yeah. No, I've just been playing with it though. Like,
So okay, so it's not
but,
really. So you're not really seeing Lost Pinata as a zine, an online zine so much. You're
I'm
really
seeing it.
seeing
Well,
art.
I'm seeing the video as like
the primary thing. It's really just it's a
well, I see it as all its own little universe because it's a hodgepodge of things. So like
okay.
the video is part of it. Like I mean, I think of like okay, like a Tumblr. You would post the video on your Tumblr, and that's part of your blog, right? And so it's continuing. It's content, and it's part of it, even though it's like the building of elements of it. And so
Yeah.
you get that interaction, but then you also have like if I'm working on this, once it's finished, that's an image for your blog. And
Okay. But we're not really doing a zine.
I guess not in that sense of like it being strictly the finished product. Ooh, that's weird. The finished product only.
Yeah, I mean that's not really the focus. The focus is just really hanging out and working on stuff.
Right, but it's also putting stuff together that's entertaining and interesting. Like it's building things and then presenting the built things. It's like we were before we were brainstorming and we were creating characters. We would take those characters and then we would create stories. And we did all of that as a podcast. And then the plan was ultimately put together a book, that would have the characters we created, the story we created, the art that we drew, all of that together, as a final product. And so this is like the same thing, only it's wider. It's and involving other people to discuss what we're actually doing. The creative process of what we're building.
Well, let's
So
give
like
it a
maybe
go.
we
We'll see how it goes. I just
it's like maybe we think of it less of a regular zine, but maybe you think of it as a at the end of the year we'll have a zine.
Yeah.
Where we're
Okay, well,
creating
we'll see where it goes.
elements.
Why don't we just go with it and see what happens? But it's
Okay.
definitely a very, very different beast than I was imagining.
Because I was thinking, we're building things and we'll put them up, and we'll build things and we'll put them up, and then at the end of the process we'll have a thing. But I think that you're thinking
we're not trying to put out a monthly zine or a quarterly zine.
No, that's where I thought that we were going to be back to the live streaming to build something.
Okay.
Is that?
I'll be honest with you. It's not inspiring to me, but I'm okay with doing it. So why don't we go ahead with it? See where it goes. I mean, I certainly need time to block off to work on projects.
All right.
I think my concern is that I don't see it as a product in and of itself that I care about. If it's so then it becomes a question of, will it be productive? Is this a productive time? And so then it's kind of a question of, well, is this going to be more of a distraction, or will it actually be productive? And so that's where I'm at. If it's actually just casually getting together with people and just sort of working on, and doing work, I think that could be kind of cool. And the whole behind the scenes, show your work kind of thing. I mean, that could be okay. Part of me is balking a little bit, sort of like, some of this stuff is stuff that I would keep private normally. I think the Heroic Origins was something which explicitly was designed to be done in public, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of the work that I do is like, well, I don't know that I want to show all that stuff. Do I want to see that, have them showing me, editing the lengths of the music here? And do they want to see, do I want them to see me? Do I want to focus on writing lyrics online? It's one thing to have a certain, group of things that you've specifically set aside to be publicly displayed.
Right. No. Yeah, no.
And it's another thing to just sort of rope in whatever you're working on, I guess, unfiltered.
But I think that we both work on enough things independently that you can pick and choose what what you want to put out there, like, and we still need things specifically for this endeavor.
Well, but that's what I guess the thing is that I don't feel like there's really a focus on this endeavor. I don't know what the product is.
Well,
You know,
but think of it as at the. I mean, no, I just now, just thinking about that, I think that if we came up with the concept that at the end of the year we have a maybe you don't think of it as a zine, but an art book, a yearbook, a uh, but that's a combination of things, yeah, because like that, I think would be a really cool thing to put together. Ultimately, that's a collaborative piece that, and we can talk about like what the focus of it should be, what the aspects of it could be, what the blocks are that we put into it, are even, I mean, and I mean, if you think of it more as a digital thing, but I think that could be a very cool um, physical thing, like coffee table book, you know.
sure,
I
sure.
mean, because like you could definitely make like a yearbook. I mean, you could throw your memes in there. You could throw your yeah. I mean, you could throw everything in there, and it's just like a neat encapsulation of a year. Especially like because like yeah, you're talking about all the hilarity around Trump's Trump's picture right now, and it's like yeah, you could do stuff with that, and it marks it for a time, and it's really always I do every year at work with video. We go through and it's basically a hour-long clip show that we do. Well, that's just like rewind, 2022 rewind, there will be a 2023 rewind,
Mhm.
and it's just like I grab clips from things that we did all year long, and it's just like, hey, remember when we did that, remember this, remember, and it's just that's a fun show.
Yeah.
But that's what essentially we'd be creating that as a piece. I don't know what
Well,
you want to call that. Like if you want to make it
I
digital
think the thing is,
or
I just, right now I don't see the vision that you have, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't go forward. So why don't we go ahead and go forward with it, and it might reveal itself to me as we go.
okay.
So I think that's what we should do. But
Well, let's
yeah.
think of things like logo graphics. All the nuts and bolts.
Well, we
I
have
want
the
I
logo,
want an
right?
opening. Yeah, I mean, I want an opening like some opening music.
Oh, you
Something.
do?
Yeah, I want to be able to like put when we start to have something like that starts off our what we're doing. That we had that. We had plans for that for the live draw. We had that for I mean, so it's not.
Did we do with the live draw? We didn't do it though.
We didn't. I didn't get a chance to make it. It was we were going to do the Marvel type of the pages turning. Remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, it was a much more complex animation than I had time to actually put together. With the one that we had for heroic origins. I mean, that was easy. I did that in like a night. You know,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
but the actual page
The
turn stuff
flipping, yeah,
that
the
would
page flipping, yeah, yeah.
that would
That was
be
going to be for
all
the
of our.
live draw. I didn't. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, that was
Um,
the concept of it. It was just going to be with all of our drawings, taking our drawing just the way the same. It would be the same Marvel Open. It would be like
yeah.
at least in my head,
Oh,
shot for
I
shot,
know
it
what
was
you're talking
going to be
about. Yeah,
it was going to be the Marvel opening, like the old Marvel opening with the page turns and all that,
yeah, yeah,
and it would
yeah.
be coming to Heroic Origins live draw. But
Absolutely, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah. Okay.
I hear the pitter patter of little feet again. Hello.
Well, it's probably about time for me to sign off here, actually.
Yeah, it's after 2, so
Yeah. Well,
actually,
okay. Well, why don't we reconvene next week, and we'll just sort of go with it and see where it
okay.
goes. So,
Do we have a space where we're looking to make said website
What's
where we'll be
that?
doing like a Tumblr thing or
It's
what
the
the hell is that?
pinata thing.
It's a pinata.
maybe an Instagram or something.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like if it's going to revolve around this, then I kind of feel like I don't know. Instagram seems natural. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Why don't we table that for next week?
Okay.
But right now, we got to go into several sites.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there's no rush. We've got time, so we'll continue to.
Well, we'll get together next week, and we'll just sort of progress. We'll have
Yes.
another episode, exciting episode of us
That's why it's a lost pinata, Dave. It's not.
Yeah, we're lost.
It doesn't know where it's going.
So the actual the zine once with the blog or whatever will be called Found Pinata.
Maybe.
Is it a living pinata? Daddy, is it a living pinata?
Is it living?
Yeah, because like it's lost. So is it? Like it can't just get
All
up,
things lost or living.
grow legs, and walk away.
Well, if you lost your pinata, it would be a lost pinata. Like you lost your bracelet, it was just a lost bracelet. You know?
Okay, sure. So someone backed it hard enough to just bring it to Ohio or Colorado.
Maybe.
Is that what happened?
You could have lost it behind the couch. I mean, it doesn't have to have gone that far.
Maybe you put it in a bag and you took it on a trip, but you lost the bag and it's being shipped somewhere to like around the world. Who knows?
Like in Ohio.
Yeah, like in Ohio.
What? Why
And
Ohio?
you can walk up to Ohio and say, "Here's a pinata. I'm going back."
Exactly. Who knows what's in this pinata?
Who knows what's in Ohio?
All pinatas come from Ohio, you know. So.
Yeah. So I bring it back to Ohio.
It's just going home.
Bring it to Ohio, people. Bring it to Ohio.
All right.
All right. Signing off. Bye, Josie. Bye, Terrance.
Bye.
See you next week.
Later. See you.
Bye.
Oh, we're still live.